Good evening, dear listeners. Tonight, let the quiet embrace of the night guide you to a place of peace and wonder. Close your eyes and imagine a forest cloaked in mystery, where the trees whisper secrets carried on the winds of time. The stars above cast a gentle light, and a lone figure treads a path winding through the shadows. A figure seeking truths as ancient as the earth itself. Let my voice be your guide as you drift into a world of magic, courage, and self-discovery. With every word, allow yourself to relax, to let go of the day's worries, and to follow this tale into the depths of your dreams. Now settle in, breathe softly, and let us begin. It was a night that crept like a silent hunter through the shadows of the forest, thick with the murmurings of trees who kept secrets older than men. Under the distant light of the stars, a lone figure moved along a winding path. A figure who bore the quiet air of one who had endured many battles, yet carried a deeper wound within, one that no blade or spell could touch. The hero had lived a life sung in many fireside tales, though the songs rarely captured the weariness in their eyes or the haunted spaces in their silences. They had been called to the farthest reaches of the kingdom, summoned by a wordless whisper carried on the wind, a force compelling them into the depths of Eldartlin, the fabled circle of the Elvenkin. Their journey through the forest was laden with a sense of foreboding. The trees themselves seemed to part in recognition, their branches arching as if bowing to a figure both revered and pitied. And so the hero entered the circle, where a ring of cloaked figures awaited, their faces pale and solemn in the silvered light of the moon. In the center of that sacred space lay 7 stones, each marked with ancient runes that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. They glistened with an eerie light, colors shifting from cold blue to deep emerald to fiery orange, each hue seeming to hold secrets of its own. These were no mere stones, but the embodiments of ancient magic, vessels for truths as piercing as the sharpest blade. An elf stepped forward, cloaked in green so dark it merged with the night. The elf's voice was low, each word flowing like a river at midnight, carrying the weight of ages. You have come willingly to the trial of the 7 stones, the elf began, and the very air seemed to tremble with the words. Do you understand what it is to face the truth? The hero felt a prickling down their spine, a sensation both thrilling and terrifying, as though some part of them had waited lifetimes for this moment. The elf continued, his gaze unwavering. These stones hold the wisdom of the Eldarellin and the burdens of ancient souls. Each stone will reveal a truth hidden within you, some known, others buried deep. To pass this trial, you must face what lies beneath the armor of your deeds and the shadows of your past. There was a pause, and the night grew so still that even the whispers of the forest seemed to hold their breath. "Are you prepared, hero?" The hero nodded, their voice caught somewhere between courage and fear. They had faced beasts and storms, conquered forces that could level villages. Yet this trial stirred something deeper, an unguarded part of the heart that had long been hidden from sight. The elves stepped back in unison, a movement fluid as water, and formed a circle around the stones. One by one, they touched the ground, chanting words in a language that felt like the song of the forest itself. The runes on the stones pulsed brighter, casting a ghostly glow that wrapped the hero in a shroud of half-light, an ethereal embrace that held both welcome and warning. As the chanting ceased, a heavy silence fell, and the first stone began to pulse with a rhythm that echoed in the hero's chest. It was the stone of honesty, the first trial, the beginning of a journey not into a land unknown, but into the recesses of the soul. The hero took a breath and stepped forward, feeling the weight of unseen eyes upon them. They could sense the elven gazes fixed and unblinking, watching with a depth that felt as ancient as the stones themselves. In that moment, standing before the pulsing stone, the hero was no longer the figure of myth and renown, but simply a soul, vulnerable and bared to forces they had never dared confront. And then, from within the stone, a voice rose, soft and yet unyielding, as if speaking directly into the marrow of the hero's bones. To seek the truth, one must first remove the masks they wear, it whispered, and the hero felt an unfamiliar tremor, a crack in the armor they had so carefully forged over years of conquest and survival. Who am I truly? The hero wondered, the question swirling within them like a darkened storm. And with that question trembling in the air, the trial of the 7 stones began. Each pulse of the stone a reminder that truth was a path few dared to tread. The hero stood, breath shallow, as the next stone pulsed to life, ready to reveal yet another truth that lay hidden in the depths of their soul. The hero approached the second stone, its color a deep swirling blue, like storm-tossed seas under a moonless night. It seemed to hum with a strange, restless energy, and as the hero's hand reached out, a jolt rippled through them, a surge of awe that carried not just words but images, memories layered one upon the other. The stone's surface grew luminous, its light casting ghostly shadows on the ground, shadows that slowly took shape, forming scenes that both frightened and entranced. In the first of these, the hero saw a younger version of themselves, less scarred and battle-hardened, standing at the edge of a quiet village. The smell of smoke and iron filled the air, the sounds of metal clashing faint but unmistakable. The hero recognized this place, knew it as well as the lines of their own hands. It was a memory from the past, a decision that had set them on the path of legend, though at a terrible cost. The younger hero had chosen to press forward that day, to seek battle and glory over the plea of a friend who had asked them to stay. In the hero's mind, the reasons had always seemed noble. The village would be safe without them, they had thought. And the larger battle ahead held the promise of a future too grand to resist. But now, watching the scene from the outside, the hero saw the despair etched into the friend's face, the silent plea unheeded. And as the vision shifted, the hero witnessed what they had long buried. That friend, standing alone as enemies overran the village, fighting with courage but falling nonetheless. The stone's voice, as cold as a winter river, rose in the silence. Would you choose differently now? The hero's voice trembled as they whispered, yes. It was a truth that stung, a wound that felt fresh despite the years that had passed. They could feel the weight of regret, a heaviness they had carried unknowingly. Every step and every victory a reminder of what had been left behind. But even as the admission left their lips, there was a strange sense of release, as though a bond of silence had finally been broken. The stone dimmed, its light fading back to darkness. But before the hero could step away, a new glow flared. The third stone now pulsed to life, its surface as clear as crystal, reflecting not shadows of the past, but a visage of the hero themselves. This was the stone of the heart, the mirror of desires unspoken, dreams buried beneath the mantle of legend. Its light was softer, inviting, yet it held an intensity that made the hero's pulse quicken. Peering into the stone's surface, the hero saw an image not of battles or victories, but of a quiet life, a life they had scarcely allowed themselves to imagine. They stood at the edge of a meadow, watching the sun dip below the horizon, the colors painting the sky in hues of gold and violet. Beside them, a figure with a gentle smile looked on. Someone familiar, yet distant, as if born of a dream. In this reflection, there were no battles, no grand quests, only the peace of a life untethered to duty and sacrifice. The hero's heart twisted, a yearning rising within, sharp and poignant. They had chosen a life of valor and renown, yet this vision revealed a part of themselves they had never truly acknowledged, a longing for the simple beauty of a life lived without bloodshed and loss, a life shared with another heart. Is this the life you desire? The stone asked, its voice softer than the others, like a lover's whisper in the dark. The hero felt the ache within them deepen, and yet they knew the answer was no. This vision held a beauty that tugged at their soul, but it was not a path they would ever choose. They had been born to wander, to fight, to stand alone in the face of darkness. It was both a gift and a curse, And though they longed for the peace this vision offered, they knew it was not meant for them. "No," the hero murmured, voice filled with a bittersweet resolve. "It is beautiful, but it is not my path, nay." The stone's light softened, a sigh echoing within it, as if acknowledging the hero's acceptance of both the beauty and the sacrifice entwined with their fate. The hero stepped back, heart heavy yet clearer than it had been in years, as though the weight of unspoken desires and buried regrets had lifted, leaving them raw but renewed. Now only silence filled the circle, as if the stones themselves were allowing the hero a moment to breathe, to absorb the revelations these trials had uncovered. The elves watched, their faces still and solemn, shadows flickering across their features. They seemed less like judges and more like silent witnesses, guardians of a journey that few had undertaken and fewer still had completed. And so, when the fourth stone began to glow, the hero knew they were ready, a journey into shadows that no sword could cut and no armor could defend. The hero's heart raced, for they sensed that each stone would strip them bare, layer by layer, until there was nothing left but the very essence of who they were, an essence they might not yet understand. The air hung heavy with an otherworldly silence as the hero reached toward the first stone, its surface gleaming under the watchful gaze of the moon. Runes shimmered across its face, rippling as though alive, each symbol etched by an invisible hand from an era when men were but dreams in the minds of gods. The hero's fingers hovered just above the surface, hesitant, sensing that to touch this stone would be to open a door that could never again be closed. A single breath drawn, and they pressed their hand to the cold surface. At once, a chill surged up their arm, racing like a serpent of ice through their veins. The stone pulsed, and then a voice, a presence, filled the night, murmuring words that sank deep into the soul, words that felt older than time itself. To seek honesty, one must remove the masks they wear. The voice intoned, each syllable soft, but laden with a strange power. The hero felt an inexplicable pressure within, an unspoken compulsion, as if the stone were not only speaking, but demanding answers from the very core of their being. In the silence that followed, images began to swim before the hero's eyes. Memories unbidden, memories that glistened like shards of glass. A battlefield under the scorching sun, where bodies lay scattered like broken statues. The hero saw their own face, etched with the fury of battle. Yet in the reflection within the stone, there was a shadow, a hint of something unspoken, something carefully hidden beneath the armor of valor. "Who are you, truly?" the stone asked again. its voice pressing into the hero's mind, peeling back layers of pride, bravery, and fame to expose what lay beneath. The hero's heart pounded, words welling up within, words they had never spoken aloud. Not to friend or foe, nor even to the mirror's quiet gaze. "I am a seeker of glory," they whispered, voice catching as if a veil had fallen from their thoughts. "But there are times I wear valor as a mask, to hide my own fear, my own doubts." A warmth spread through the stone, and the hero felt as if an unseen force nodded, as if some ancient wisdom acknowledged this first truth. But the presence did not relent. The images shifted, revealing another memory, one buried deeper still. A village engulfed in flames, a hasty decision in the heat of a skirmish. Innocence lost, faces blurred but ever present in the hero's dreams, their cries rising and fading like echoes in a darkened hall. The hero had carried this guilt in silence, burying it beneath every victory, every tale told in their honor. "And what of this?" The stone's voice pressed, no judgment in its tone, only a soft insistence. "The lives taken, the choices made in pursuit of greatness, do you carry their weight?" The hero closed their eyes, feeling the weight of those faces, a gallery of unspoken sorrow. "I carry them all," they murmured, the words spilling out like water long held behind a dam. "I tell myself it was for the greater good, but I know the truth. It was my ambition that led me there, my pride that ignored their cries." As the confession left their lips, a strange feeling began to blossom within the hero. A lightness that felt foreign, like a bird discovering the open sky after years within a cage. The silence that followed was not empty, but rich, a silence that held no judgment, only understanding. The stone's light dimmed, fading from that cold, spectral glow to a soft, muted hue. The hero could feel the presence within it withdrawing, yet leaving a parting whisper in the air. Truth is a blade sharper than any forged by man, yet it is the only blade that heals as it wounds. The hero withdrew their hand, trembling, feeling as though they had walked through fire and emerged not unscathed, but changed. They glanced down at their hands, the same hands that had held sword and shield. Yet now they felt as though they had touched something beyond mortal comprehension, a truth as old as the earth and as mysterious as the stars. The elven circle remained silent, their faces unreadable, watching with eyes that seemed to carry a timeless understanding. One elf, his face shadowed beneath the hood, nodded almost imperceptibly, as if acknowledging the hero's first trial. One mask had fallen, and the hero felt its absence like a wound. Yet beneath the pain, there was a strange relief, a liberation from the weight they had carried alone. As they stepped back, preparing to face the next stone, a subtle fear took root within them. This trial was unlike any they had faced before. No monster to slay, no enemy to best, only a reckoning with themselves. And yet, they felt compelled to continue, drawn forward by a force as mysterious as the stones themselves. Each truth faced brought them closer to an understanding they had feared, yet a part of them yearned for it, drawn to the light of revelation like a moth to the flame. For they sensed that beyond these trials lay a freedom greater than any victory, a liberation of the soul itself. The hero's gaze lingered on the next stone, a dark, brooding shape set apart from the others, heavy as storm clouds over a winter sea. It pulsed faintly, as if in hesitation, as if the weight of what lay within it strained from the magic that bound it. The hero felt an unease take root in their heart, a strange dread that clawed at the edges of their resolve. For this was the sixth stone, the stone of judgment, and its trial was not the one of self-reflection, but of accountability, a reckoning with the lives touched by the hero's path, for better or worse. As they reached out, the stone grew warm, then searing, as though it held within it the fires of 1,000 lives and the fury of 1,000 memories. A low murmur began to rise, soft at first, but growing steadily, like a distant thunder that bore with it the weight of voices, voices familiar, and some too hauntingly so. Faces began to take shape in the darkness around them, figures emerging like phantoms on the edges of a fading dream. There, in the half-light, was the image of the young comrade who had fallen at their side in a battle won, but at a cost too dear. The friend whose village they had left behind to chase glory. The innocent child whose life was claimed by the chaos of their conquests. Each face was a reminder, a fragment of a life their choices had touched, and in many cases, forever altered. The hero's heart pounded, their pulse racing with the weight of so many lives now filling the circle around them. The whispers rose, accusations and laments blending into a mournful harmony. "You left us," one voice murmured, "for pride, for glory." Another voice followed, trembling with a quiet anger. "And we bore the weight of your choices." The hero tried to speak, but the words caught in their throat and the stone's presence pressed upon them, unyielding and cold. This was no simple inquiry. It was a demand for atonement, a silent plea that each voice be heard, each life acknowledged. I remember you all," the hero managed, voice raw with the ache of memory. "I carry you with me, every one of you." The voices stilled, leaving a silence that seemed almost expectant. The hero continued, eyes fixed on the phantoms that surrounded them. "I sought to protect, to defend, but my ambition blinded me. I took pride in my valor, and I failed to see the lives behind it. But I swear, each of you, Each of you lives in my heart, a part of me that I can never lay to rest. The murmurs faded, and the faces began to dim, one by one, like stars retreating with the dawn. Yet, a lingering presence remained, a feeling not of forgiveness, but of understanding, a silent acknowledgement that the hero had at last seen and named the shadows that walked alongside their victories. The stone's warmth faded, leaving the hero trembling. And yet there was an unexpected peace within, a calm that filled the spaces left raw by confession. This was no absolution, for the weight of past choices remained. But it was a truer form of strength, one woven not from pride, but from the acceptance of all they had carried, of all they had endured and caused others to endure. Then the final stone began to glow, soft and golden, its light a warm beacon in the dark. This stone held none of the coldness of judgment or the sharp edge of revelation. It felt instead like a sunrise after a long night, a promise of something beyond suffering, beyond the past. The hero felt drawn to it, a feeling both familiar and new, as though they had known its warmth in some forgotten lifetime. This seventh stone was the stone of revelation, yet it asked no questions. It held no visions of regret, nor did it summon faces from the past. Instead, as the hero touched it, a gentle warmth flooded through them, filling them with a sense of peace they had rarely known. This was not a reflection of their deeds or desires, but a glimpse into something greater, something vast and encompassing, a truth that lay not within but around them. A vision unfurled, one beyond time and place, revealing an endless landscape where the hero walked alone, yet surrounded by light. It was not the journey of a solitary warrior, but of a soul seeking its place in a world that shifted and changed like the tides. The hero understood, at that moment, that their path had been theirs to choose, shaped by both purpose and missteps, and that in each choice they had woven a part of themselves into the fabric of the world. The stone's warmth deepened, like the embrace of a parent, a friend, a lover, all at once, until the hero felt themselves not as a figure of legend or loss, but simply as they were, whole, imperfect, a part of something far greater than they had ever known. This was the truth, beyond all others, a quiet revelation that needed no grand triumph or sacrifice, only a simple acceptance of self. The light faded, and the hero stood, feeling both the ache of all they had faced and the profound calm of understanding. The elves watched in silence, their gazes softened, their bearing no longer that of distant witnesses, but of kin who had walked beside the hero, unseen and steady through each trial. The eldest elf stepped forward, his voice like the whisper of leaves in autumn. You have faced the truths within yourself, hero, and you have embraced the light beyond them. Go now, with knowledge as your guide and wisdom as your compass. The hero turned, the path back through the forest stretching before them, no longer cloaked in shadow but bathed in the gentle glow of dawn. They walked with a steady step, feeling not the burden of legend, but the lightness of one who had glimpsed their true self, a soul freed, not from consequence, but from the fear of knowing it. And so, the hero left the circle of Eldaralin, carrying with them not a crown of glory, but the quiet bow of self-acceptance, a journey of truth that would guide them beyond the realms of their myth and into the depths of their own humanity. As dawn's light crept through the canopy of Eldarslin, the hero took their first steps away from the sacred circle, feeling the weight of their journey settle into a quiet resolve. The forest around them seemed to sigh, as though exhaling with relief, the silence now one of peace rather than tension. Sunlight lanced through the trees, casting soft beams that danced like spirits over moss and stone, illuminating the path forward. Each footfall echoed with a strange resonance, as if the earth beneath remembered the weight of the truths now carried within the hero's heart. Yet, with every step taken from the circle, the hero felt an unraveling, a delicate loosening of the self, a shedding of burdens that had grown familiar yet corrosive. The clarity offered by the 7 stones lingered, casting each memory, each wound in a new light. Gone was the shadowed burden of regret, replaced by an acceptance that felt both foreign and deeply rooted, like a forgotten melody, remembered only in the dreams. In the stillness of the morning, the hero paused to gaze back toward the circle of Eldarlin, that sacred ground hidden within the ancient trees. Though it was barely visible through the tangled boughs, a glimmer of light traced its edges, a faint and ethereal reminder of the journey that had just ended. And as they looked upon it, the hero felt a sense of gratitude for the stones that had laid their soul bare, their truths etched like scars upon the mind, but no longer sources of shame or fear. They were, now, simply marks of a life lived, a path forged with choices both honorable and flawed. But as the hero stood in reflection, a soft rustling drifted from the shadows of the trees, and one of the elves emerged. It was the eldest, his face gentle and wise, with eyes that seemed to hold centuries within them. He approached in silence, and for a moment the two stood together, the hero and the guardian, bound by a shared understanding forged in the mystery of the night. "You are not the same soul who entered our circle," the elf said, his voice rich with quiet reverence. "Few have faced the stones and returned unburdened by the weight of their revelations. Fewer still carry within them the willingness to look so deeply into the truths they reveal." The hero felt the words settle within them like seeds, ready to take root. "I came seeking something I thought I lacked," they replied, a hint of wonder threading through their voice. But I realize now that I sought only the courage to know myself, to face not enemies but the truths I had hidden. The elf nodded, a faint smile creasing his ancient features. Truths, when laid bare, carry their own power, a power no sword or shield could ever grant. You carry that now, and it will guide you, though the road ahead may still hold shadows. For a moment, silence stretched between them, filled with the quiet symphony of morning birdsong and the soft rustle of leaves. The hero felt the forest itself bearing witness to this final exchange, its vast timeless presence wrapping around them like a benediction. Then, as if in answer to a question left unspoken, the elf reached into his cloak and drew forth a small stone, round and smooth, its surface glinting faintly with a residual light. It was a fragment, perhaps, of one of the 7 stones, a shard of the ancient magic that held the circle's mysteries. He placed it gently in the hero's hand, his gaze steady and calm. "This is a reminder," he said softly, "of what you have faced and of the truths you now carry. May it serve as both anchor and compass, to guide you through whatever trials await." The hero accepted the stone, feeling its warmth pulse faintly in their palm, a quiet heartbeat that mirrored their own. With a nod of thanks, they tucked it close, a tangible echo of the awakening they had found within the circle. The elf's gaze grew distant, his form blending into the forest as the morning light deepened, casting dappled shadows across his cloaked figure. "Remember, brave one, the journey does not end here. Truth is a living thing, and it will grow with you, evolving as you do. Carry it not as a burden, but as a light." And with that, he stepped back, fading into the green shadows as if swallowed by the forest itself, leaving the hero standing alone, but no longer lonely, on the path that lay ahead. Turning once more toward the horizon, the hero continued forward, feeling the world around them more vividly than ever before. The breeze brushing past like a whisper of encouragement, the earth firm beneath their feet, and the dawn stretching its warm fingers across the land. For the first time, their journey was not driven by a need for glory, nor haunted by the spectres of the past. It was a journey that now held a deeper purpose, a promise to walk not in the pursuit of fame but in alignment with a self known, a self freed. As they ventured on, the stone in their pocket pulsed with each step, a reminder of the circle of Eldarlene and the truths unearthed within. And though the world might still see them as a hero of tales and songs, the hero themselves carried a quieter, truer legend, a legend woven from honesty, shaped by humility, and guided by the quiet light of self-acceptance. Thus, the hero's awakening marked the dawn of a new path, one paved not by conquest, but by clarity, not by renown, but by resilience. And as they walked into the vastness of the world beyond, they felt not only the weight of their past, but the limitless potential of their future. One they would face with courage, not only in battle, but within the depths of their own heart.